So let's start with a little bit of a review. One of the things that we wanted you to do last time was to meet kind of as a team. So you and your manager were supposed to talk, figure out a problem that you wanted to kind of do a creative problem solving session with your team, and then lead that session in some form. So we can kind of go around the room and then just see what you guys did, what your experience was, lessons learned.
We picked a problem that we had identified. Obviously, we all agreed that morning huddles hadn't been as lively. We could get a little bit more value out of those than what we were getting. We more followed the analytical problem solving, defining what the problem was, generating alternative solutions, setting up what we thought in our mind an ideal meeting should entail based off of that. I will say, like, first off, as we sat down and started talking about this, it was kind of immediate where some of the constraints were with this. And just kind of referring back to the table there was when we're actually defining a problem. I mean, we said, okay, team huddles just need to improve because we're not getting as much out. And so our morning huddles are. But it was first principle on the constraints. There's seldom a consensus as the definition of the problem. Mm-hmm. And then symptoms get confused with the real problem. As we discussed it, we were kind of like, is this a symptom? Is it because of, is it just something that's happening?
I mean, I thought it was a good exercise. It was definitely something that was, because at first when we met, like you said, we were trying to define the problem, like kind of like what is the problem, and we were going into the symptoms. And as we changed what we were defining the problem, we kind of had to change what our solutions were as to, like, is there one thing we can implement during the team huddle that is going to change it? Mm-hmm. And we kind of came to the answer that no, like it's not one change or one thing or one problem, but it's kind of like an ongoing thing that we need to develop as we go. And so I thought the part of defining the problem was pretty useful. And then looking at the, kind of the outside factors of what else is going on with, like you said, like we're onboarding, Derek is gone, like we have a new team member, we've lost multiple team members, there's all these changes going on. And so it was just pretty interesting to me to try to, really break down, like sometimes it seems like such a simple question of what's the problem or what's a problem, what's a symptom. And so I just thought it was very useful, and it was interesting to come at it from that and really break down everything that was going on and all the different ways that we could solve it, and just realizing that there isn't necessarily an easy, one size fits all solution.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll add that I think that when we're looking for creative problem solving, it doesn't need to be huge and drastic or like crazy in order to see improvements made. Like oftentimes those changes can be simple changes, but you can see a dramatic improvement just from that. And so you don't need to, like I said, just think too big or spend too long thinking outside the box, when sometimes like simple solutions can make a big difference. And also I was thinking about how important it was to get, different perspectives depending on where we are in the team or what our individual thoughts were about the morning huddle. It was way easier to come to a conclusion, or at least, work on improvements with three of us rather than just one of us trying to.
It was really cool, actually. We had a huddle and we talked about what challenges each person foresees for them to personally hit their number. And so we were able to kind of write them all down, or at least I wrote them all down, and see which ones were the common challenges that we were all facing. And so one of them was motivation, not necessarily as in like no motivation to work, but just there's a little bit of a burnout when you work from home every day. And so it was really interesting, and we brainstormed a little bit on how we could try and solve it. And so we're trying to hold each other accountable with personal goals that we have for each day to make sure that we're pushing through the fatigue that we may feel in order to reach our number. And it sounds simple, but I thought it was pretty good.
I think one thing that I learned from the exercise, so we were focused on connects as a team, which has been like a common theme for, I feel, over a year now, but in this environment, right? Like setting up, okay, this is the problem that we want to discuss. We all agreed that it was a problem. I think one thing that we didn't anticipate is it took way longer to get to solutions and agree on solutions than like almost keeping control of the conversation while not like still allowing for creativity and to share all the solutions, but it almost became overwhelming of like, where do we go from here? Because everybody's idea of what the possible solution could be was different and personal to their own biases of what the problem was, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not getting connects because of this reason, and somebody else has a different reason, but the solution to solve both of those may be different. And so like almost corralling all of those different ideas and solutions, it took us a lot longer to like get further into problem solving than we anticipated. And I think what we learned from that was probably like, is that when Sabrina and I were talking, is like, is not getting enough connects the actual problem, or is that the symptom? And is that why there were so many different options of how we could solve it? So it was I agree with Ashley. It was like, when you look at problem solving in the context of what we learned, like, it's a lot more thoughtful than just, I have a problem. All right, here's one thing I can try. All right, go do it. And it's more methodical and it takes more time. That like, it made me realize, man, when I'm really trying to find solutions for some of these challenges, I don't know if I always go through this. I don't go through this process, which is probably why the same problems keep reoccurring. But you really have to take time and be methodical and think about what the team is sharing and like challenging them on what they're sharing to come with a solution.